Hey, my name is jmartin. Thanks for watching. This is a 2v2 game, kind of. It's kind of a 2v2 game. It's really more of a 1v1 game. What had happened with me is it was late at night, and I was just checking out the Total War lobby, trying to find a game. And a couple guys I know were hosting a 2v2, and I was like, sure, I'll get in there and play with y'all. And I jumped in the game. And let me slow down a pause for the introductions here. That's me. I'm the GB player. On my left is just a random player who I didn't know. His name is Silber. And opposite me is Alpha. This is one of my buds on Huntsman. And he's playing with a guy named White Knight, who is in Young Guard. And I was like, yeah, Alpha, let's play, man. And I haven't had a chance to... I played with Alpha, like on Alpha's team, but I haven't had a chance to play in a game against Alpha, and certainly not in a 1v1. So I said, hey, you guys cool if Alpha and I just take this as a 1v1 game? And, excuse me, Knight was cool with that, and Alpha was cool with that. So that's what we wound up doing. Just a real quick note on my build. It's the standard, just 10 regular line. I don't have any guards. I do have 5 lights. Alpha has a strong flank. There are 3 old guard over there. Keep an eye on those later in the game. There's also a... Oh, man, hiccups. There's a young guard hanging out right there, and then Alpha has 5 units of volts. We both have, it looks like, 4 cav. Now, this turns out to be a pretty damn good game, or a pretty competitive game, but this game is also really, really long, so I'm going to try to spend the majority of this game and fast forward and make it reasonable, so I don't have to sit through this marathon. I watched this replay once to try to get a feel about what I wanted to talk about, and a couple things came to mind. The most important things I want to talk about are, I think I make 1 or 2 really big blunders, and Alpha makes 1 or 2 really, really smart plays, and I'm going to try to point those out in particular, but otherwise you could kind of watch how this goes. Now, this obviously doesn't play out as sort of a true 1v1 because there's the red line there, and we don't really have any room to maneuver against each other. So don't consider this like a pure 1v1, but it is what it is. It's a 1v1 on half the map. What I do in the beginning is my line there, I have a little bit better stats than these 2 line units, so I make a move here in the middle, and I've engaged, we're exchanging light fight here, and I think that maybe I can pull this off. Now I send a cav unit in there. This turns out to be a fucking disaster for me, honestly. I kind of get a decent hit there, but not really. Alpha turns his lancers around to chase my cav, and my cav routes, I go into square because his cav is still alive, and I only did fucking 4 casualties to it. I pull back, and while I'm in square, he's still shooting at me, and essentially this is a huge failure of an attack. I don't lose a whole lot here, but I sure as fuck don't gain anything either. This little early section of the battle, I think he's going to wind up... What's going to happen is he threatens with his lancers again. Yeah, there they go. And... I think maybe I miss... Oh, I guess I get into square there. And I guess what's going to happen is we're going to wind up trading cav units, but he's going to win the infantry fight. He's going to do more casualties to me than I will to him. And I think here in a second I actually just withdraw. Because that might have been a mistake. Like, I mean, maybe I should have pushed a little harder there. I don't know. I was losing. I did have a reserve infantry unit. You can see that we're both pushing cav that direction. So we do kind of have an escalation of forces in this area. But once it's pretty evident that unit's going to rout, then I kind of give it up. At this stage in the game, what I was thinking... let me show you the big picture. Oh, sorry. Let me show you the big picture. What's going on is Alpha's got his old guard over here, and I really don't want to fight them, so I'm content to hold them off with 4 of my own line units. And after my attack in the center fails, what I'm thinking is I just switch to, well, my lights should be able to outshoot yours. And quite honestly, I'm willing to sit there and let that happen. This doesn't go as planned for 2 reasons. A, I felt like my lights should have performed much better against his volts than they actually did. They didn't. I mean, he's doing a lot of tricks, like he kites me there to get another first shot. Good move. He does burn and inspire from his general there. This is where Alpha May scores a big coup in this particular match, however. He kind of feints me with the cav. That makes me pull back, and that little edge right there cost me a volley. You know, little feints with your cav there, or something that is pretty clever. And then when he comes back, he actually catches me with this cav. And the kind of the cost of using the hammer, you know, the tactic where you bunch your lights up, is you're really vulnerable to that. And his micro of his cav there was the superior to mine. And fuck, man, he fucks me up right there. He gets that cav unit back. The 3 lights that you see routing on my end are going to come back, I think, but obviously he dealt some casualties to it. When that happens, I kind of am like, well, he's got more lights than me, so... Well, the assault down the middle didn't work. When the light fight on the left didn't work, what the fuck do I do now? And at this point, I transition into kind of like big assault on the left. Again, I'm willing to concede. I'm willing to let this section of the battlefield pin itself down. I'm willing to give him my 7 units against his 3 if I can keep those old guard from doing anything interesting. So right about now, I switch in to an assault over here, and this is, I guess, maybe the bright spot of the battle for me. But I'm kind of going to let this play a little bit, and my assault here is more effective than anything else I had been trying to do this game. Not much more, but I think I do wind up out of this fight on the left here with something of an advantage. The balance of forces, I think he outnumbers me a little bit when you factor in his lights and everything. What I see right about now, let me slow to play to show you this, is what I'm looking at is I see that these lights, their line protection is really spread out weak. So I crash the cav unit into those lights and then continue that into his lancers. And then from that, I continue to charge on into his general. This is the only bright spot of the battle for me, because I'm going to get his general right here. Now, I'm not sure if I made the right decision, but when his general dies, was that it? No, that was my partner. That's his general dying right there. Once I realize that he's going to get the morale penalty for general just died, I'm going to run up and engage these line units here, and I'm going to push in on his face just as hard as I possibly can, because I want to get as many of his units to rout from that general penalty as fast as possible. This works okay, and you can see again we're being really symmetrical. He decides to commit another cav. I decide to commit another cav. I think I made the move first, actually. So this assault on the left goes a bit better now that his general is dead. But he makes a really good play, and he withdraws what he can. Now, action necessarily shifts over to the right. Now, I think what's going through his mind at this point is that, well, I'm losing over here, so I have to do something over here. And we have 4 line, 4 GB foot, and one light dragoon against the 3 old guard, and he has a chasseur cheval. Over here, this isn't terribly interesting. It's just me chasing him around. He really ices the game right here. This is a game that I think I was winning at this point, and Alpha really comes back to ice the game. This is kind of interesting. Now, I don't know, I want to say I got out-microed. I think I poorly microed myself. And if you watch this area here, here come his old guard. They're going to come in, and he just absolutely destroys me on this flank. If you're France, bring 3 old guard. You know, that's this is the object lesson in old guard being good. Because watch what happens on this flank. I just get crushed, and you can see. I believe that as things stand here, I should be able to win in this area of the field. And man, I'd have just taken a draw here. Like if we could have just completely wiped each other out, that would have been awesome. I really, in no way am I going to give him the first shot here, so I am going to sit here. But I don't know, things are pretty even here maybe. I think the way that, if you draw a line and only look at this half of the field, that eventually I do wind up getting these units here. So I do kind of wind up winning this side of the field, but where Alpha wins the game, where he had to win the game, is right here. Okay, so here we go. Here's the advanced lancers come in. I don't see it. And he actually picked a really good time because I had just started to reposition this foot unit to get on the flank there, and I fucked that up, man. Really good timing from Alpha. He squares into my charge. He's already routed my first unit. I do square for the second one, but all that means is 2 old guard are shooting at me. First foot unit's down. He is pulling back to reorient his line. I did get his lancer there. As I try to pull these units, my foot unit routes so fucking early, man. It routes at 60 because of the old guard fear. And so Alpha comes out of this scrum here with I have unit at 83 and pretty much full against 3 old guard at 100. So, you know, I got him I pretty much just killed one Lancer. He killed 2 of my foot, depleted the shit out of another one, and killed my cav. I mean, that action right there really wins the game for Alpha. Now, lines reform. And just a courtesy glance over at this is White Knight is just kind of patiently and politely watching our game. But so we reform here, and I might actually cut a clip out here because what happens is about another 10 minutes of us just cat and mousing around, and it's gonna come down. Well, I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm going to take a little pause in the action, and we're moving around here. I'm going to pick you back up again in a few minutes. Well, let me just, this is an interlude at this part of the battle. What has happened is I've routed the left 2 Alpha units, and I think we've done a complete 180-degree spin right here. But we keep moving around, and this kind of looks good for me at this point, right? I mean, I've, all these guys here. He's just got these 4, but these old guard are so fucking rough, man. And like they just get in the neighborhood and my unit turns red. I try getting my general over. I think there's a pretty good argument to be made that I should have been able to win the game at this point. Both of us were just microing around like crazy, and the only problem I do have is that now I'm facing the 2 old guard here, a third old guard there, and then that's a young guard, and all 4 of his units are pretty damn healthy. They're all right at about 100 or 90. I think the young guard is still, 108. So at this point, kind of the way it plays out is all of my units are really depleted. They're all down to about 50 or 30 over there. So just 1 or 2 volleys kind of breaks the charade of what I had going on here, and my units aren't going to last that long. And his old guard come over here and just blow me away on this side. I'm not really sure if the game was winnable for me at this point without him making a mistake. And he's a good enough player that he's not going to make that mistake. So I'm not really sure what I should have done differently. I think there's a really good argument that I kind of made a couple mistakes earlier in the game. But at the same time, I mean, this guy played a really strong game. At some point you stop saying, well, this player made a mistake, that player made a mistake. At some point you just say, well, I mean, he played really good. What are you going to do? And I kind of get the feeling that was a little bit in this game. That obviously improvements could be made in my game and his. If I hadn't given away 2 foot units on the left there, then that would have been a lot better. But anyway, this is the end of the game, and GG Alpha, thanks for playing with me. And this does get kind of close to the end, but I think these 2 old guard are, or these 2 old guard here are gonna make it out safely. And White Knight, thanks for playing, and thanks for letting us do our 1v1, man. I really appreciated that. I had a good time playing this game here. Oh yeah, he gets me. So the 3 old guard are the ones standing at the end of the battle. There's a lesson for you. But anyway, GG guys, Silver, thanks for playing with me, man. You good effort out there. And yeah, he killed about 200 people more than me. So there's the game. And thanks for watching. And leave a comment, rate, subscribe, do all that good shit. And I'll see you in the next video.